Begin. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar on this nice Thursday afternoon. Just a reminder to all the attendees that you'll all be muted throughout the presentation. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation that you'd like our hosts or myself to answer, we'll go ahead and answer that at the end, but you can go ahead and drop that in the chat box throughout the presentation. But I'll give you guys another minute or two for people to kind of get on here. As the presentation goes, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll introduce our co-hosts and introduce the topic at hand, and then we're going to go ahead and deep dive into some questions. So we'll give it a second here for some other attendees to hop on, and then we'll get going. All right. Awesome. Okay, I think we can get started. So why your employees are your greatest cybersecurity threat. So we have ID Agent and Next IT joining us today. My name is Lindsay. I'm the co-host of this webinar, and I'm with ThrivePop, which is a digital marketing agency based out of West Michigan. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So, all right. John, I'm going to let you take it away.
Good morning. I work in the Traverse City office for Next IT. We are also covering West Michigan from Muskegon, Kalamazoo, and Traverse City and beyond. We work with a lot of clients from 20 to 200 employees to help with their IT solutions and bring that Next IT technology success process to you guys and make sure we're helping you improve productivity with reduced risk.
Awesome. Good. Nice to the point. We are Next IT. All right. Go ahead, move on to you, Leah, with introducing ID Agent.
Hi, guys. My name is Leah Ubaldo. I'm part of the ID Agent team. One of the channel success managers. I help our partners, with the products that we have and implementing those to their clients and prospects like you guys. And happy to be here.
Sweet. Awesome. All right, guys, let's just jump right into it. So obviously, we're all sitting here talking today and doing this webinar, and webinars obviously became more prevalent during COVID-19. Everyone moving at home, your workforce moving at home, talking about cybersecurity and how your employees have succumbed to all these new cybersecurity threats that are targeting remote workers. How has that COVID-19 landscape changed how we do cybersecurity?
I'll start, right? I think the interesting thing for me on how the landscape has changed is now the hackers have an idea that there's not a security person like your CIO or your IT, administrator in the same building with you, reminding you, or, having it easy to ask somebody, should I be looking at this email? It seems kind of fishy to me, but so with everybody, working remotely, we're kind of putting that judgment on your end users. And so I think that has really changed the landscape before, where in the office, you could just go up and walk up to your IT person, or call your remote IT support organization like Next IT and say, hey, is this a good email? Mm-hmm. So now at home, people are like, I don't know. I'm going to flip a coin.
I like what you said there about this email seeming fishy. Something about this email seems fishy. What about you, Leah?
Yeah, no, and I think, on the topic of phishing, we've seen an increase with phishing emails. And it's unfortunate just because these cyber criminals, they're preying on the fear of people. Especially in the beginning of COVID, we had seen a lot of fake emails coming from, the CDC or, information about vaccinations, when that was first rolling out, and people, were scared and fearful, and they needed to know more information. So they would, be more prone to click on those phishing emails. So, and then it would kind of, trap them in that sense. So, we did see a huge increase in those phishing emails, especially around the topic of COVID and, anything related to that.
Okay. Which kind of brings us into the next point of discussion. So for those remote employees who are there getting succumbed to these phishing emails, Why is that security awareness training important, and why does every organization need to have some form of remote security training?
Yeah, I think unless you're working in IT, you really don't pay a lot of attention to this. Okay, obviously, since COVID has started and that attack on individuals and their fear, there's a lot of conversation around it, but take your training from the experts. We work and live this stuff every day.
And when it comes to this, it's you always hear that the employees are the weakest link, and they're only the weakest links if you don't invest in them. So investing in a security awareness training program, making it part of more so of a culture for them to understand the dangers out there, makes the employee better, makes the company better, and it's part of the culture.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, obviously, and I can also speak to this too, when our agency went remote, due to the cybersecurity training that I got from Next IT, I was able to catch so many different cybersecurity threats that came in through my email when we went remote, especially ones that had to do with packages coming to my door and stuff like that, things I would normally expect. So, that ransomware coming in, this ransomware attacks that continue to be on the rise, as phishing attacks continue to be on the rise. How does the cybersecurity awareness training prepare for those attacks?
I'll let you go first this time.
Yeah, no, it's all about education, just being aware of, what are some of those frequently, what is a ransomware? What does it do? What would happen? Kind of just having that education is important. And that's all about, understanding that, learning about it, being mindful of those phishing emails, because a lot of those phishing emails, once they open it, that's how they get into the network, your system, and been able to put in that ransomware. It's on the dark web. These cyber criminals are very sophisticated, and they've gotten to a point where there's systems helping them. It's called ransomware as a service, basically helping these cyber criminals organize and manage the ransomwares that they have out on these companies. So, they're very prepared for this. And the only thing, employees and ourselves that we can do is really educate ourselves, understand, be knowledgeable. So that's why it's so important to have security awareness training on hand.
Yeah, going off of what Leah said with ransomware as a business, I went to a security conference a year ago, and they said for $60,000 you can buy a complete ransomware package with support. So these hackers get support on how to send out, all the phishing emails and what to do with them and how to organize their contact database. It's it's a business across the country. I used to hear from clients in Northern Michigan, well, obscurity is my security. Well, if we're connected to the internet, no one's obscure anymore. And, the percentage of ransomware attacks that start with a phishing email, I've seen upwards of 90%, but I can tell you for sure, clients, will click on that email in the busy afternoon, and that brings down that cybersecurity attack payload into your system. Hopefully it's just a workstation and they're smart enough to shut it down and disconnect, and call their support organization. Or if it gets to the server, what we tell everyone, don't do anything, don't contact them, because now you're marked as a real target. And we reload from backup. I mean, back to the importance of having that IT support organization, really managing your business and doing those backups and restore verifications on a regular basis, so you can get right back up and running.
Mm-hmm. Ransomware as a business. I don't know that I had ever heard that until COVID hit. That's insane. All right. Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit, John, but what is the percentage of employees clicking on these phishing emails? Do you find that with COVID and a lot of remote security awareness trainings that percentages have dropped, generally speaking, or do you think it's actually on the rise, because even though there's a lot more cybersecurity awareness training out there, just the sheer number of employees out in the remote workforce, it's just bound to happen?
I mean, everybody's got, statistics and numbers. I'll give you the actual Next IT statistics using our wonderful ID agent homepage here, and my dashboard gives me a real clear indication, over the last X number of months, we've sent out over 10,000 phishing campaigns to our clients who get training and who are actually, doing the training. Not everybody's doing the training. And we report to the managers and owners of that business of who's completed it. And, but out of those 10,000 phishing emails, 1% of the people, even who are trained, actually submitted personal information. 5% clicked on the link into the email, taking them to that spot. And then they thought for a minute, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. Another 19% opened the emails and said, okay, this doesn't seem right to me. And, but that's that first step, just out of that, 10,000 campaigns, about 75% didn't do anything. They recognized it as a phishing campaign, but these are people that are already being trained. So that's really a challenging statistic. We hope to get that number really, really close to zero with the training awareness on that. But this is, what we do in our reporting to our clients, and just bring people back around. Hey, let's revisit that ransomware training. I realize you clicked on some data and we're all trying to do the right thing. And it's like forgetting to lock the office if you're the last one out in the evening. You've now given them a way into your data, and that hole should be filled and not allowed.
Yep.
What are you seeing on a national scale, Leah? Do you have statistics on submitting data and clicking on ransomware phishing emails?
Well, I've, with our partners and, implementing this and clients, I think because of everyone working remote and people, not being in the office and as engaged. So, I think they're implementing security awareness a little bit more, just to kind of educate them and being aware, since they're not in the office and they are working remote. But we've seen a lot of, trainings being implemented with people. Have they been clicking on the phishing emails? Like I said, it's, they're prying on the vulnerabilities of these people. And if they're not educated enough, they, so they do fall for it sometimes, not aware of what's going on or what's in, the news right now. So some have. So it's been kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Interesting. You kind of touched on this, so I'm going to skip over this question and actually move on to the next one, because I think this one's a little bit better.
Hey, I got a fun story though. I used to work for one of our broadband internet providers, and I became friends with the IT guy there. And they've got a large network, all the way across North America. And so their resources, of internet and computer access and stuff like that are pretty expensive. Right. And so I was just taking some files home for the evening. I wanted to review some of my quotes and look over some of my contacts and plan for the next day. And I stick a USB drive into the side of my computer. Luckily, was friends with the IT guy. He's walking by. He's like, John, did you realize you signed an employee agreement that says you're not allowed to put foreign devices into your computer? And I'm like, yes, I can see that happening as I'm pulling it out.
Oh no.
And he said, which is a valid fact, right? Anytime you put something into your computer, that's one of the training classes, it's attached to the network. I've heard stories of clients buying inexpensive, USB drives off of popular websites and, online shopping. And because they're cheap, hackers will actually buy a cheap USB drive, put the ransomware on it, repackage it and sell it as just another way to try to get to a target.
Interesting.
Lots of education out there.
Yeah. Well, when you're educating these employees in these businesses, how often do you need to do the cybersecurity training? Is this like a monthly thing? Is this daily, weekly? How often do these guys got to know what's going on?
Yeah, so at Agent, we have a tool that kind of gives kind of a phishing simulation. So we have our partners kind of go out and see, what people may do to these, simulated phishing emails, and kind of getting the data from that and just seeing, where their employees are at the moment. And, do they recognize a phishing email? Did they click on the link? Did they submit data? And from that data, then kind of deciding should they do, maybe a monthly or quarterly. We usually see maybe monthly, quarterly, depending on the size of the company and, kind of the engagement, also the industry that, the companies work in. So maybe around monthly, quarterly, security awareness trainings, but, as long as they're educated and learning and knowing, and also it's also the company's, responsibility to also inform them, if they are, if they have seen some recent phishing emails coming through, informing the employees, hey, if we recently, got a phishing email, don't click on this, informing those employees. So the security awareness training and then additional communication from the companies.
Okay.
I'm
So it's
I'm
ongoing.
recommending monthly, to my clients. We do a monthly training video. There are very short videos, 5 to 10 minutes with questions and answers, and a quick test at the end. And if you listen to the video, you pass the test. The
Nice.
test is for the people that just start the video and then walk away, right?
Mhm.
And then we do quarterly phishing campaigns for these clients as well. So just to kind of double check. But the training has a lot more content to it. I mean, it talks about clean desks policy. I'm not going to let you look at mine right now. It's pretty messy, but I probably have, private information laying out on my desk. And we're in a remote office, so we don't get as many visitors as a larger corporate office. But, the USB training, phishing training, clean desk policy, password policies, all of these things add up to ways hackers are trying to get into your computer network and steal your data.
Yeah. Well, I know even on our end, because we subscribe to NextIT's newsletters, we, follow NextIT on social media, same thing with ID Agent. And even that, the daily information we get as employees in terms of, the latest cybersecurity risks, the latest phishing email scams that are out there today, just happening is extremely helpful too between these trainings, getting in the know daily, if not, with these newsletters coming in, it's pretty awesome. So definitely help keep us all in check. So, what kind of topics are taught in these cybersecurity awareness trainings? So is it specifically all just kind of associated with, phishing emails, or do you guys touch on some other different topics employees should know about?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what John mentioned, some of those topics. I mean, we have courses on data protection, on mobile security, even physical security. So, as John said, clean desk policy, making sure that there is no, USBs, or you're not putting USBs into computers that you're not supposed to, or going into rooms you're not supposed to, you're not authorized to. But, topics, how to avoid a phishing scam, CEO, phishing scams that are out there, good password practices, benefits of password management, some of those topics. So very helpful, very simple to understand, and it's just really being able to just grasp the concept of, just being mindful.
Yeah, and there's lots of other different things, multi-factor authentication, even your cell phones, right? You got to be worried about cybersecurity on your cell phones, because if you're taking email on your cell phone from your corporate network, there's a loose connection there, but there's still a connection. And yeah, the physical stuff is interesting. You would think you remembered that, right? I leave at night, I lock the door, close the lights, log out of my computer, lock my computer, all those type of things. It's just a new way of doing business when we're connected to every other person on the internet around the globe. We open ourselves up to a little more, security risk. And I think this is just a way to kind of educate your employees and your staff on how to be mindful about that.
Awesome. And I know, speaking of multi-factor authentication, we did a webinar about 3 or 4 months ago on that. It's up on our YouTube channel, but I know we had some great info in terms of how to get your employees working with two-factor, some of the benefits and different ways you can use two-factor, not just, the typical thing you use when you log into Instagram on your cell phone. There's a lot of different ways you could utilize that to protect your company. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on NextIT's YouTube page. So yeah. Cyber insurance, what is it? Can you guys deep dive into what kind of service that is? And does a business need it, or do they just need that training?
I think they need it. right? Cyber insurance is covers you for another loss. You know, if you think about a building loss or a vehicle loss, and getting you back up and running and back into that space, it's the same thing with a data loss. Some companies will go weeks with a really difficult ransomware attack before they're actually back online and doing business. I don't have any clients when I ask them, can you go 2 weeks with out opening your doors? They say absolutely not. All of our customers would leave us if we didn't respond within 2 weeks. And I'm working with a client right now who had their data up in the cloud, and we are in the process of migrating it to an on-premise server because they felt better about that. And their cloud provider got hit with a ransomware attack, and that cloud provider has been down over a month. Luckily, we had gotten about 80% of the way of loading all their data in and setting up their applications, that they said, we can't wait for them to come back. What if they never come back? Let's just move ahead and rebuild the data that we need to. And they didn't miss a single day. But if we hadn't been working on this, we would have already been a month behind.
And 85% of breaches are, with those small, medium-sized businesses, and an average cost of a breach for a small business is about $300,000. So, just imagine that. And these small businesses, they can be, 60% of them are out of business within 6 months when they have a breach. So, having that insurance and being able to make sure that everything's in place, that they have the right tools in place to be covered. That's another thing, being compliant, with the cyber insurance. That's also important to remember.
And just go to your normal business insurance person. I've talked with a lot of insurance agencies in my area, and they all offer this, and they add it as an add-on to your normal line of business insurance. So it's usually not a big expense up front, but it's something we think is really important.
It's a pretty shocking statistic you listed, Leah. That's a pretty crazy cost. I would put any business down for a hurt, and if not, shut them down completely. So that's crazy. How much, speaking of those costs, how much should a business budget based on their revenue, in terms of how much they should spend on cybersecurity awareness training, cyber insurance, all that? Is there a certain percentage of, businesses on average should spend on these things? Does it depend on the size of the business? Or is it on like a case-by-case basis?
I haven't looked this number up yet. I'm going to do it right now, but Leah, what are you recommending to clients and MSPs, what to put into that?
Yeah, I think about, let's see here. I believe I had something here. About 10% of, let's see, I think it was a 10%. I had a number here. I think it's about 10% of it should go towards that budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with clients that use that in their marketing.
Yeah, 10% of IT budget on security. Yep.
Yeah. And, the other side of that is if you have an outsourcing company that manages your IT support, like Next IT, ask them if they've got it in there. If they don't have it in there, give us a call. We include this in our security stack. So our monthly fee to manage your IT business, help desk, servers, workstations, updates, monitoring, all of it, we include the cybersecurity training and phishing campaigns in that one monthly cost.
Perfect. Awesome. I think this is the last question. So what would be the benefits of outsourcing that cybersecurity training with someone like Next IT? Because, say maybe someone, or, a remote worker, or, client that has a bunch of remote workers say, oh, just do this webinar security training thing. Here's this link. You guys should watch this email or this link in this email sometime. Like, what's the benefit of having, this consulting in addition to keeping your employees up to date with what's going on?
Yeah, so we've done it before, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The same reason people outsource their help desk functions, or the updating of their Windows platform, all of that stuff. I was looking right here, we offer 43 different cybersecurity training programs to our clients, and we build phishing campaigns, and you can customize them. I think one of the keys Lindsay mentioned earlier was depending on what type of business it is, right? Banking and insurance and health organizations have a ton of data and all that personal information in there, birth dates, social security numbers, things like that. That's what the hackers are looking for, right? Other businesses, construction, you got a lot more guys out in the field and a fewer number of people behind the computers working on projects and, managing all of that. So it's, different by industry and different by, how much personal information you have. If you look at banking and healthcare, the two I mentioned, they've already got government regulations about how much data can be available, right? You don't want anybody looking at your health records and your social security numbers and birth dates and passwords and things like that. Government regulation is getting into banking and healthcare because it's so prevalent and there's so much risk there.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I know, from personal experience working with Next IT, I've carried a lot of my knowledge that I've learned from you guys into, even my personal relationships with other people that are outside of my organization, of them being like, I got this weird email, and I'm like, let me take a look. And I could take what I've learned and be like, what, this looks fishy. So yeah. Awesome. I'm actually going to move this questions part to the end because I actually want to talk about our offer. So I want to move your head, John, down here. So we want to thank you all for joining us today. We're going to get to the questions next. We want to talk about the special offer we have. So we're going to give you guys a free dark web scan. So basically what that entails is seeing if your information is already out there for your employees or your businesses and seeing if you're at risk yet. So you can redeem this offer with John's direct email by reaching out to him directly. You can see that on the screen. Don't worry about writing this down too, because all the attendees will also get this webinar sent to them, as well as it getting posted to our YouTube channel. Or you can head to the landing page that's info.next-it.net/free-dark-web-scan. And once again, this offer will also just be sent out to all of you guys, and we want to give you a special thank you, and make sure to keep tuning in for our next month's webinar, and then go ahead and head to our YouTube channel to see when this is posted as well, and then check out some of our previous webinars. But now we'll go ahead and get to the questions.
These dark web scans really get nice reactions when I bring them to clients, right? If some of these hackers will actually, in the scans, will show us the username and the actual password they're using.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yet I don't like to generalize, but a lot of times, it's executives that I don't have time to change my password. And that's the big key here, right? Is hackers realize that we reuse our passwords all the time. We can only hold so many memories in our brain until you start doing that multi-factor and single sign-on type options. But one thing that hit me, I watched the ID Agent week and breach reports every week when they come out, and Spotify was hacked. All that information was out there. So how many people have a free Spotify account? Yeah, absolutely, right? Listening to music. Did I reuse that password somewhere? Oh boy, probably. Now it's out there on the dark web. You never get it back. You just got to be mindful of this stuff, and it just at least understand the rules of the game, I guess.
Yep.
It's a matter of, it's no longer a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So you got to be prepared.
Yes.
Got to be prepared. And
that dark web scan, kind of like what you brought up, John, with Spotify, how many other apps do you use on the daily basis where, one of those passwords is taken and you don't even know it. So getting to get that free dark web scan and let you know, oh crap, it's already out there and I didn't even know it. So very important. I know we use these, to get, make sure our employees are all covered and make sure our personal stuff's all covered and everything, and our clients as well. So that's awesome. I want to thank you guys for joining us. And once again, these offers will be sent out in the emails, and we'll go ahead and answer some questions.